Saving our planet one consciousness at a time. Recycling your used plastic bags won't do it. Buying expensive solar panels won't do it. Buying yourself a new electric car won't do it either. Not even Greta Thunberg, God bless her little bamboo socks, will do it. I suppose if all the governments declared a state of emergency like our recent pandemic, then we might just stand a chance. The inconvenient truth is that science is unlikely to solve our burning planet's problem. If we're honest with ourselves, we have to see that it was science that put us there in the first place. Greed, greed, greed. That's all we see. Everybody wants what's due to them. Okay, I'll change my fuel, carry home my groceries in a paper bag, and recycle my water bottle. But don't say I can't fly away on holiday twice a year. You made my washing machine so crap that I need a new one every 3 years. It was your fault that cotton and not hemp became so ubiquitous, even though a t-shirt made out of cotton uses 5,280 gallons of water and a hemp one only requires 80 gallons of water. I want! But who wants? Let us see. Things you generally don't know. The past is the past. The future can't be known. We're not taught to understand the difference between awareness and what we call reality. We don't understand that all our current global problems are caused by our egoic state. In the West, we have totally ignored the potential and power of our chi. You are not your body. You are not your story. Everything in life is coloured by death, but it shouldn't be. Whoa there, Tiger. Why did we suddenly go so metaphysical when we were getting into a good, that's a judgment issued by the author's ego, getting into a good article about green things? Why do you think we have such things as the 10 Commandments? From the earliest of days, man has been apt to steal and kill. Well, we hear about survival of the fittest. From caveman days, hairy thugs with their knuckles dragging along the ground have been pulling their conquests by the hair back into their caves again and again. Rape and pillage is why we have such a diverse DNA. Yes, I'm looking at you, Sweden, as to why I have blonde hair and blue eyes. We all know the reputations of your Vikings. We're set apart from other mammals because we have, over a comparatively short time, sprouted a prefrontal cortex. We've grown an area of the brain that has allowed us to become conscious beings. As this area has developed, it's become convenient for us to place ourselves in space and in time. As a bee does a waggle dance to let other bees know where the lavender patch is blooming, so we needed convenient ways to communicate. Let's be fair. Pointing must get pretty frustrating. Quite fast. I point at the deer you're dragging behind you and grunt. You point over your shoulder and grunt. I walked 20 kilometres without seeing a single deer because your pointing was a little bit off. Now I'm a grumpy caveman. Just the word river would have helped me make my hunting experience so much better, and then I could have given you 5 stars on Google Maps. The next question that comes up is, whose woman is that? As I point. Nobody's? Great. I drag her to my cave by the hair. Somebody's? Great. That avoided me getting myself eviscerated with a sharp piece of flint. So now we have I, my, mine. Did you kill the deer today by the river? Or was it last week? Now we have concepts of time. So my cat has no concept of mine or time, although to be fair his stomach clock is fairly accurate. Dolphins have no possessions. Elephants, well, they don't hoard fruit. And monkeys, well, they don't have to put up with cheap washing machines that are built to clap out in 3 years. We see then the use of language, the nascent understanding of times, as we start to map the seasons and the skies. We live together in small numbers, roaming the lands. The shift to farming comes into our lives about 10,000 years ago. I'm guessing we've always eaten the tubers and the grasses as we found them, and no doubt defecated the seeds and greens along the way, noticing that these plants could be made to thrive. Some bright spark decides that he's so into potatoes that he'd rather cultivate a crop of these and lie around waiting for them to grow, rather than chase off after the wildebeests. He is quite literally the first couch potato. He decides to give you potatoes if you bring him meat, simultaneously triggering markets, money, greed, supermarkets, advertising, and worst of all, loyalty cards. My friend, you have a hell of a lot to answer for. The problem comes with stock. You have lots of stock. I have none. Either I decide to kill you and take the stock, or I try to figure out how you did it and do it myself. We witness the birth of entrepreneurs, leading to multiple episodes of Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, where we watch people being eviscerated with sharp pieces of flint for our family enjoyment. Scale it up a little bit. You have all the oil, I have too many cars. Welcome to Dragon's Den on an epic scale, where I sit at home and watch our technology eviscerate your young men so that I can keep my car running, allowing me to go to the shops for yet another washing machine. We needed to place ourselves in time and space. We needed to plot and plan our way forward. If nothing else, we still feel the drive that pushes baby turtles down the beach while birds gorge themselves. We're still driven like young iguanas to sprint through rocky outcrops filled with vile vipers trying to munch and crunch us. We all have the mammalian drive to survive and go forward. In mammals, however, you don't see the turtles and iguanas killing each other to get ahead. That is a very peculiar human trick. So the front of our brains is developed to allow us to plan. It's placed us in time and space, and bit by bit we've developed the ability to understand each other's emotional selves. Survival is driven by understanding if the boss or king is in a good mood. Knowing this might be the difference between life and death. We develop our egos as a way of aggregating all the information and understandings that we've made along the way. It listens and replies. It defends, where appropriate or inappropriate. In short, it becomes our protector, castle walls and guard dog. It's made from all these things we've learned, felt and experienced. It's unfortunate that it's not really that good a tool at all. It's a bit like a child's toy box filled with shiny, colourful things, many of them broken, forgotten and with lost parts. The ego is propped up by so many old stories and childhood reactions. One of the first things children learn to do is to get what they want. They learn how to manipulate their parents. I want a sweetie, mummy. if repeated often enough, will lead to getting a sweetie or getting a slap. Either one builds a memory about relationships, life, and techniques for manipulation. These strategies we continue to use throughout our entire lives. The ego wants life to be more comfortable, easy, and filled with sparkly new things. The ego drives us to get our teeth whitened and unused chemical weapons injected into our brows to kill a few of our frowns. The ego makes you want what you don't have. The ego, as a community, talks you into believing that greed is good and that war is just an acceptable part of life. The ego needs new things, so it persuades you to fly on holiday twice a year and spend the rest of the year burning down rainforests, or at least investing your hard-earned cash into companies that burn down rainforests, or who turn pandas into loo paper. I'm not sure if that last fact is actually a thing yet. Ego isn't actually bad. When you understand how the flow of the Tao works, then nothing is ever really bad or good. We won't get into that story yet. Ego's just a tool. It's the old story. Guns don't kill people, American policemen do. How you choose to use your ego is what is important. The ego, it's a bit astonishingly complex. A bit like a Swiss Army knife crossed with a recipe to make souffle. Essentially incomprehensible, and it doesn't even come with a training manual. In point of fact, it's rather more like giving a 5-year-old child the keys to your Tiger tank. And it's a 5-year-old child who hasn't been fed for a long while and has probably lost his favourite teddy bear. If you can find a way to quieten this gnawing, moaning, goading part of yourself, you can start to see the world as a different place. What if you didn't want the rainforest to burn to the ground? What if you don't want the pandas to have to breaststroke their way home with the polar bears? What if we didn't have to have a new washing machine every 3 years because we started being responsible for our actions? What would the world look like if it was populated by truly conscious beings? We're now talking about Homo Spiritualis, the evolution of mankind, a new breed of individual. So we have examples of Homo Spiritualis studied throughout our history. Buddha, Lao Tzu, Jesus, Muhammad, to name but a few. But that's the problem. What they were teaching was actually pretty hard to grasp. It requires that you actually put in the hours and the mental gymnastics required to evolve yourself. And to be frank, watching Dragon's Den is much easier and often more fun. To begin with. Are we talking about learning how to act like Red Indians? Do we have to sit cross-legged for hours? Do we need to drink lots of South American plants and then puke all the bad thoughts out of us? No. A simple starting point is a no-mind meditation. Sitting quietly, allowing the thoughts to drift by without attaching to them. They eventually subside. I follow several paths and writers. My teacher, Dr. Pang Ming, the founder of Zheneng Qigong, and one of his teachers, Teacher Lu. You might do just as well with G.I. Gurdjieff or P.D. Ouspensky. Perhaps a little Alan Watts will point you in the right direction. You could try Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi and his question, who am I? What about the lovely Mani, originally from Ireland, and his embracing no other meditation? I'm sure Eckhart Tolle's shtick too, but I'm not au fait with his work. The point is that these days, with the power of the internet, there are more and more people awakening. The old spiritual paths, shamanism, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, have all failed in their aims. There's now only one person left you can rely on. That's you. You have to do the work yourself. You have to teach your children to do this work. You have to be the guiding light for your community if we're ever going to save this beautiful planet of ours. Turn down the lights by all means, but whilst you're at it, dim the ego too. When we realise that the ego is a great little tool to navigate our daily chores, but that it never should be the boss of us, then our planet has a chance. When we start to self-realise, then we could never kill each other. We would understand that overpopulation is killing our home, and that oil is the blood of the living creature called the earth. There's only one way for us to continue to live on this planet. It's not politics. It's not war. It's not science. It's not farming. It's only by evolving our ego selves into fully aware humans. I throw down the challenge to you. I've started the process. I want you to come with me on the journey. If you want some clues to get you started, meditation is sleeping. Wake up in your meditation. Seek your own global awareness. Become present in your stillness, not asleep. Step back from the I thought. I like this. I want that. They're all constructs of your ego mind. Try to identify the I that has no object attached to it. Step back. Try to become the observer of your observer. Okay, so that's a bit crazy, but if you've ever learned to observe your thoughts, now try observing who this observer is. Clearly the starting point would be to learn to observe your thoughts if you've never done any of this at all. If you want me to hold your hand, then I'm here for you. Let's save the world, one consciousness at a time.